Hello. Today I'm presenting a study where we used a false feedback manipulation to fluctuate participants' sympathetic nervous system, or SNS response, as well as fluctuating them between states of challenge and threat. First, I want to quickly familiarize you with the concept of challenge and threat responses, if you aren't already. The biopsychosocial model of challenge and threat integrates physiological, cognitive, and social psychological dimensions to account for states of either challenge or threat in response to some motivated performance situations. In this model, a simple change in your perception of the situation and of your own capabilities of overcoming the situation can lead you to either a challenge or threat response. While states of challenge have been associated with better performance on tasks and mindfulness, states of threat have been related to higher levels of anticipatory worry and tend to show worse performance outcomes on situationally demanding tasks. In the present study, we had 25 participants undergo a modular arithmetic task. In this example, the participant had to answer whether the difference between 54 and 17 is divisible by 9. The answer to this example here is no, it is not divisible. Throughout the experiment, we fluctuated the participants between positive and negative feedback. What they didn't know is that they were all given the exact same feedback, regardless of their performance. We did this to account for individual differences in math performance or anxiety, and to see if we could fluctuate sympathetics and challenge versus threat states as a function of performance feedback. To measure their sympathetic nervous system response, we used a combination of ECG, electrocardiogram, and ICG, impedance cardiography, to measure their pre-ejection period, or PEP. PEP is a direct measure of the sympathetic drive. As PEP decreases, sympathetic drive increases. To measure states of challenge and threat, we use the measure of total peripheral resistance, or TPR, derived from a combination of continuous blood pressure and cardiac output, which we get from the ECG and ICG. States of challenge are associated with decreased TPR, while states of threat are associated with increased TPR. After participants were given instructions on how to do a modular arithmetic, we gave them 16 practice trials. We then told them that we estimated their speed or performance ability based on their performance on these practice trials, and that we will now compare their performance on the trials with our estimate of their speed ability, and that we will apply a time penalty for incorrect responses, making as much of a black box of confusion as possible so they don't catch on to our manipulation. Again, every participant was given the same feedback regardless of the performance. Participants were informed that their feedback on their performance will be shown by this bar. The closer they perform to their estimated max ability, the closer a blue cursor will be to the right of the bar. The closer they perform to the worse they perform, the closer the cursor will be to the left of the bar. Furthermore, they're told to make sure that they perform in the top 25% of their ability to the right of this red zone. They're told that if they finish in the red zone, we will not be able to use their data, and that we will not be able to give them an additional $5 bonus, giving them a total bonus of $0. However, if they perform exceptionally well and finish in the green area on the right, they receive an extra $5 bonus, giving them a total bonus of $10. Whereas if they just stay within the gray region, they receive a total $5 bonus. Performance feedback was manipulated to follow a sinusoidal wave with some added jitter within the gray region of the feedback bar, mirroring between both red and green zones. In a total of 96 trials, they were given feedback every 3 trials. When feedback would offset significantly with their actual performance, we reminded them about the time penalty, just to add some confusion so that they don't catch on to our manipulation. For analytic purposes, the data was divided into separate macro and micro states. In the macro states, assuming a center zeroing of the sinusoidal feedback wave, the positive portions above the center line were considered high macro states, while the negative portions below the center line were considered low macro states. A measure of feedback change was determined within the macro states by either declining, moving closer to the red portion of the feedback bar, shown by the pink arrows here, or as improving, moving closer to the green portion of the feedback bar, seen in the blue arrows. What we found was that when feedback was overall in the positive range, receiving negative feedback caused greater sympathetic drive or lower pre-ejection period. We did not see significance as a function of feedback change within TPR. To describe our TPR results, we further divided the macrostates into extreme and mid microstates. The extreme microstates were at the extreme ends of the feedback bar, as seen in pink, whereas the mid microstates were closer to the neutral center of the feedback bar, as seen in the blue regions. Within low macrostates, on average, throughout the experiment overall, negative feedback caused higher TPR, or a state of threat, while in the positive end of the feedback, the more positive feedback the participants were given, the lower their TPR, producing states of challenge. Overall, the results suggest that sympathetic drive follows declining fortunes in an otherwise positive state, where a decrease in feedback received while doing well activates a sympathetic drive. TPR results support a state tracking system rather than perturbation tracking for states of challenge versus threat, suggesting it was relatively easy to push participants into a state of threat, whereas pushing them into a state of challenge required extremely positive feedback. With these results, the study demonstrated a trial state dynamic rather than trial wise. In a past modular arithmetic study we ran, we observed individual differences in challenge versus threat states to situations of difficult versus easy arithmetic problems. However, now, for the first time, we're detecting trial-by-trial changes within an individual, altering between states of challenge and threat. While these results may still suggest personality differences, the results show a state-based difference within an individual that can fluctuate rapidly.